Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Talking Buffalo, your weekday daily driver for Buffalo sports talk and more. My name is Patrick Moran. Thank you so much, as always, for watching, for listening. However, you are taking in this podcast. I truly appreciate you guys very much. Big shout out to the sponsor for today's show, as always, the law office of William Mattar. Heard in a car, call William Mattar, 444-4444. Call William Mattar today to get the compensation that you deserve. This is our Thursday podcast on the audio side. On the video side, we are actually live here pretty late on a Wednesday night, just moments after the Buffalo Sabres return from a long Olympic break. They go to New Jersey. It wasn't exactly the prettiest hockey we've seen from the Sabres, but you know what? A road victory is a road victory no matter how you get it. The Buffalo Sabres defeat the New Jersey Devils 2-1. Keep that playoff momentum going. We're going to talk Sabres. We'll react to this game. Going to get in some Buffalo Bills talk as well throughout this show. I'm joined by one of my favorite, Sabre guys, but also Bills Bandits guys. Broadcaster, my good buddy, Steve Bermel, man. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
What's going on, Pat? Excited to talk about a win. I texted you during the second intermission. I said, man, I just hope that we're talking about a win. And you said if they get one more, it feels pretty good. And they did, and you ended up being right. Complete sidebar, you said broadcaster, so I got the game Friday. The Bandits host Saskatchewan. We're radio only because TSN's taking the video feed. And then I actually am heading down the 90 following Saskatchewan. They play Rochester on Saturday, and Rochester needed a color guy. So I got the back-to-back double header.
Nice.
Saskatchewan at Buffalo Friday, and then Saskatchewan at Rochester Saturday. So the double duty broadcast this weekend. Back-to-back games, but that's neither here nor there. Just excited for a Sabres win, man. That was, as you mentioned, a damn near perfect road win.
Yeah, Ralph Wilson Sr. right away in the live chat. Tage golden again tonight, but Power on the shutout breaking goal, watching the game inside the crease. Yeah, we'll get to that as well. Tage Thompson back in a big way for the Sabres. Kind of, sort of, let's start there. Actually, let's go to right before the game started. If you watched the whole game, everybody, including the pregame, it was pretty cool. New Jersey, rightfully so, honored Jack Hughes. And immediately, the crowd chanting USA was really cool. And Jack Hughes, like the first thing he does before he even addresses the crowd in New Jersey is motions for Tage Thompson to come onto the ice. And they kind of, they take their bow together. I thought that was really classy of Hughes to do. And look, this is not a political show. We are certainly not going to get into any of the political stuff that has went on since Sunday. We're going to keep this all about hockey. And I'll say this much, though, social media could be, I say it all the time, it could be a cesspool at times. It could be very ugly. And sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes it's a loud minority. And you could just see the crowd resonating, the USA chants. This is still a nation, New Jersey specifically tonight, because that's where the game was. It is very proud of these guys, very proud of that team. And I don't want the last couple days to take away from what they achieved. And credit to the Devils and their fans and Hughes. And again, bringing out Tage to get a nice reception. I thought that was really cool, man.
I didn't think it was pre-planned or staged either. Like, I'm sure the Devils had this planned with Hughes, but Tage had his helmet on, right? Like when Hughes went over to him, he had to take the bucket off and put it down, and they put their arms around each other. Yeah. I don't think Hughes ever would have considered not having Tage come out next to him, but to have him do that just kind of shows. Like, I'm getting to a point now, I'm almost 40, where you look at them and you're like, I'm proud of these kids. even though they're adults. I
Mhm.
know they're grown adults. Like I've reached that point in life. My actual kids are 9 and 6 years old, but looking at these 20 somethings, and that was a generation ago for me now. It's fun to watch them and say, hey, you know what? I'm proud of these kids, and watching them, arms around each other and the fist bump. And then, even as silly as it is, Pat, they did the ceremonial face off, and it's tradition. The home team wins the draw, and then they shake hands. Did you notice that Jack Hughes and Tage Thompson didn't shake hands? They dapped each other up, they hugged each other,
Yeah.
and that it was cool. Like, it wasn't staged, it wasn't cheesy. I thought it was authentic. I think the emotion exuding from them is authentic, and the crowd, their excitement is palpable and authentic. They earned it. You work hard for 2 weeks and you win the biggest hockey tournament in the world, and you earn the right. And I agree with you. Full marks to the Devils, Jack Hughes, for the way they handled today. And I'm excited for in a week or so here when the Sabres will recognize Tage Thompson and Jack Eichel, and when the Golden Knights come to town for the first home game that Buffalo has after the Olympic break.
I was just going to throw that out at you. So next Tuesday, Vegas comes to town. It's Buffalo's first home game. Surely the Sabres are going to honor Tage before the game for winning the gold medal. And I've been thinking, are they going to do the right thing? I think it's the right thing anyway, and call out Jack Eichel, and also Hannafin as well, because he also, was part of that team, not just Jack, but Hannafin as well. I really hope that the Buffalo handles it the way that New Jersey did tonight, not just to give Tage, but all the U.S. Olympians a shine. And I'll go out and say in a limb, I think Jack's going to get a pretty good pregame reception. Then they're going to boo the fuck out of him.
Yeah.
He's going to get, once the game starts, they're going to go back to hating him. But I feel like pregame, I think he's going to get some cheers. It might not be unified cheers. You'll hear some boos, but because of the situation, Tage never had no beef with New Jersey, whereas obviously Jack and the Sabres have a history. So some fans are never going to forgive that no matter what. But
you remember 2010?
Cheers.
Remember 2010 in Pittsburgh? The Pittsburgh Penguins fans booed Sidney Crosby. They announced him as the gold medal winner, and Penguins fans booed him.
Shit, that's
and then when
right.
they honored Ryan Miller, they cheered for him. So Penguins fans, for the pregame ceremony, cheered for Ryan Miller because of his all-world performance in the 2010 Olympics, and they booed Sidney Crosby for winning gold for Canada as the golden goal scorer. So when people are nervous about how the reception will be for Jack, I'm not, because when I saw that unfold, it's kind of funny. Of course they love Sidney Crosby. Of course they rooted for him for the entire 60 minutes of that game. But during the pregame, man, they were Americans, and he was the reason that Canada won the gold medal over the United States, and Ryan Miller was insane in those Olympics. So they literally cheered for Miller and booed Crosby before that Penguins game.
Since we're talking hockey here, Steve, before we get into this game specifically, which of course we're going to, but you got me thinking now. Austin Matthews, I know Toronto was on the road in Florida at Tampa tonight. Do you feel like maybe what kind of reception is Austin Matthews going to get in Toronto? What kind of reception is Tkachuk going to get in Ottawa? Those are two prominent players on this Olympic gold medalist or gold medal American team, and they're going back to Canada. Now, maybe it'll be handled differently because Canada didn't win the gold medal, so maybe they don't even need to recognize them, and they just play the games. Do you know what I mean? What do you foresee happening there?
I don't know, because I feel like if there's Canadians on the team, they're going to honor them as silver medalists, so they probably aren't going to ignore the gold medalists. I don't know how you do it. And you also can't forget Connor Hellebuck going up to Winnipeg as,
that's
arguably
right.
the MVP of the gold medal game, and maybe he could have been argued to be the MVP of the tournament over McDavid. But it's fun, isn't it? Because two things can be true at once. Like, you can root for somebody and have them be your favorite player for your team, but then hate them because of the national rivalry. And ultimately, that's sports, isn't it? Like, it's so fun to half the time when you're booing, you don't necessarily really mean it when it's something like that. But this is what's so great about the NHLers playing back in the Olympics, because it's an amazing dynamic. And honestly, just for sports fans, how cool that we had Canada versus U.S. in the gold medal game. It kind of was an instant classic. Of course, as Americans, we're happy with how it ended, but it's fun to even talk about stuff like this. This is the beauty of sports, how it brings out the best in rivalries and fun and entertainment value and all that kind of stuff.
One last thought that I have with this too, that I think is going to be really cool, is not even now. It's going to be years and years from now. And I want to be clear. There's no comparison between this gold medal winning team and the 1980 team. It's night and day different. The 1980 team was a bunch of college kids.
Against professionals.
Against professionals. This team is some of the best professionals on earth. And if they were underdogs, they weren't underdogs by much. So it's not shocking that America won the gold medal, although it's only the third gold medal that they've ever won at the Olympics. But the bond that those guys have will be really fun to watch someday. I don't know if you got a chance to watch it on Netflix recently. The Boys of 80.
The day it came out.
The Miracle, The Boys of 80.
Yep.
Yeah.
The day
I
it came
watched
out.
it. I watched it, and 45 years later, all these guys are the ones that are still alive. They get together, they meet, they're at the rink, they share memories, they get emotional. These guys, even though they might be, today's guys, they might be millionaires and some of them multi-time Stanley Cup champions already. They're still going to get together. When their playing careers are done, and no matter what cups they've won or awards they've won, these guys are going to get together 10, 15, 20, 25 years from now and be able to share that memory of being, the first team in 40, 45, 46 years to win the gold. So that's a bond that they're going to carry forever. Like what we saw pregame with Tage and Hughes, I don't think that's bullshit. I don't think that's playing for the crowd and for the camera. I think they really, truly have that bond. Those guys probably grew so close together during this process, right?
100%. And that's what I said, the beginning was so authentic, like you can't fake it. The other cool thing is, like, Mike Ruzioni before the tournament said he thinks these guys can do it. Now, of course, he's going to say that. Maybe he said that in 2010. I don't know. But you could see that he gave a vote of confidence to this team. And he said, I see some similarities about their scrappiness and whatever. And then didn't like Guerin say we got a team of whiskey drinkers that these guys are kind of like more, a little more of the, maybe a little rougher around the edges, but a different type of character type team. And I don't even necessarily mean solid character like the Kachuk boys or like the Bash brothers out there. Their brain cells rattling into each other and their hollow skulls sometimes. I love them, don't get me wrong, but maybe the USA didn't have the most talented team they could have fielded with like Robertson and Wyatt Johnson sitting at home.
Sure.
But the guys they had, man, scrappy guys. Even JT Miller and Trocheck, I bitched about them playing over Kyle Connor and stuff all the time. But who's out there killing penalties when it's a 5-on-3 in the gold medal game and blocking shots and laying out and all that kind of stuff? It was those guys. And I might not have agreed with how Guerin put the team together, but I'm the idiot because it worked. And I agree with you 100% on the authenticity of it and how these guys are now forever etched in history because it hasn't been done in 46 years, because it's only been done 3 times. They have something that can never get taken away, and that'll unite them forever.
100%. In the comments, Scott Bills 1990 said, "Thank you, Jack Hughes, but man, he must still be hungover. He played so bad." He was a little shaky. Kind of turned it around on Tage Thompson, because I'm going to be honest with you, Steve. Now, maybe I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention, but when I woke up early Wednesday morning, I didn't even know if Tage Thompson was playing.
Yeah.
Maybe they announced on Tuesday night he was playing. I don't know. If he did, I missed it. But I didn't even know if he was going to be there. I thought he might not even return to the team until they got to Florida for Friday and Saturday's games. I guess good thing that he did play. I was very concerned. I'm like, how many minutes is he going to play? How, I don't say rusty, not rusty. How lethargic might he be?
Hung
might
over.
He be worn out? Yeah, straight up hung the fuck over, man. Those guys were partying their asses off. Have at it, too. Good for them. I don't give a shit.
They should be.
Yeah, 100%, man. But anyway, yeah, these guys have been celebrating and partying. Probably haven't slept much at all since Sunday. It's Wednesday. You go and you're on the road. And how much you going to play? How effective you going to be? Well, guess what? Tage Thompson was mighty effective. Maybe he didn't skate his fastest, and maybe he was a little tired. But I'll tell you what, 2 times in this game, he had opportunity to do something big, and he took advantage both times. That first goal, which, by the way, we'll talk about Peyton Krebs here in a second, but he takes a pass from Krebs, patiently waits, bam, 1-0 Sabres. Jack Hughes, maybe hungover Hughes, as the commenter said, gives the puck away, stolen by Tage Thompson near the blue line, gets a pass in the air. Krebs knocks it down, top shelf, bam, 2-0. And then the Sabres hold on. So I don't know if Tage was tired. I don't know if Tage was hungover or what, but I'll take that Tage Thompson because he returned and he was a huge factor immediately, Steve, right?
His secret was blue light in his water bottle. His hair of the dog. That's why he wasn't hungover. Just kept drinking. I was joking that Jack Hughes and Tage Thompson might still be drunk today, as they should be. Like just keep going. Like you just better off just raging right through it. But I thought Tage was good. There were times Hughes still looked quick with the puck, but that turnover, maybe he thought he was still playing with Tage because I think they gave him an assist on that turnover. But the quickness that Tage showed as soon as Hughes loses the puck. If anybody didn't see it for some odd reason, Hughes overskates the puck. Tage tips it to himself around Jack Hughes and does this quick 360 to spin around Jack Hughes, then breaks in and sauces a pass 2 feet in the air.
Yeah.
That drops down flat right for Peyton Krebs, who snaps it short side past Allen. The Sabres have not had good luck against Jake Allen when he played for the Blues or the Devils. They haven't had good luck against the Devils in general. And even today, the goals were coming at a premium, and they found a way to get 2 of them. But Tage being a factor, I'll have to say I was kind of surprised to have him be as effective as he was. And who would have blamed him if he wasn't, man? I mean, that guy's had a whirlwind, 72 hours ago, he was probably in Italy. Just crazy how quick that turnaround was for him. The other thing that I wanted to say, I think, Pat, and this is unofficial, Tage's goal in the second period was the first goal scored in the NHL tonight. So every team had this rust to knock off. There were 3 games going on in that 7 o'clock window, and Tage was the first goal scorer in the NHL today. So everybody struggled to score because of this kind of 2-week layoff, it seemed. But yeah, Tage looked good. He an Olympian effort to kind of drag them to a 2-0 lead, which ultimately is exactly what they needed to win the game.
Let me just address that because, again, some people are watching this on the video side live. I want to make sure I'm talking to the listeners too as well. But a lot of comments about Owen Power. We will talk about Owen Power here in just a few minutes. Now, again, going back to Tage, like I said, I would not have been surprised. I would have been happy, but I would have been surprised if he completely played like shit. I thought the Sabres actually came out with energy. It was the timing. The pucks were just jumping off the stick. The passing wasn't there. But there was a great energy. And then I kind of felt like the game kind of slowed down a little bit and some rust started to kick in. Maybe adrenaline wore off and things like that. And then the Sabres literally held on to the end. All right, so we talk about Tage, another big factor in the Sabres' favor in this game. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not good at it all the time, but I am improving at my in-game tweeting. And here's why. Often during a Bills game, I will, the defense will play like shit in the first drive, and I'll just rip somebody. I don't know who it is. Pick somebody. This defense sucks. Stop nobody, this and that. Bills end up winning the game 38-10, and then I look like an idiot because I'm ripping the defense, and people will pull up my quote tweet what I said. You know what I mean? So I try really hard to not get to tweet emotional early in games, or I let things play out a little bit before I start saying what ultimately might be stupid shit. Because I almost said stupid shit tonight, Steve. That's what I'm getting at. Early in this game, after the first period maybe, I said, because it was nothing after the first. Yeah, it was after the first period. I almost tweeted this. Man, I get why Lindy Ruff doesn't want to mess with these lines. He doesn't want to mess with the McLeod line. You got Norris back with Doan, with Oslin. You got your checking line. I'm I get why you got Krebs up in the first line with Benson out, but God, I wish it was just something better there. I really hate that. That was my tweet that I never sent. That was in my brain that I did not send out to the world. Thank God. Because I just didn't like the way he looks with that first line, but I also get it from Lindy. Anyway, I don't pull the trigger on that tweet, and thank God I didn't, because Peyton Krebs, that first goal that Tage scored was a beautiful setup from Krebs. And then on the Tage saucer pass, Krebs did not just a great job of knocking the puck down, getting it on his stick, but bam, with not a lot of room to operate, beautiful, shot above Allen to beat him. under the crossbar. It's like Peyton Krebs had a very big role in this game. And it kind of feels like, and it's almost kind of hard to remember sometimes now because, these teams haven't played in a couple weeks, but man, he started out so slow on offense, but he's been cooking, man. He's been cooking a lot. Peyton Krebs, I want to make sure we give him some credit on this podcast because I thought he had a big role in this Sabres win tonight.
Anybody that doesn't want them to extend Krebs can pound sand or, meet me out back behind the bleachers because he can play anywhere from the first to fourth line. It's hard to find. I'm not saying he's great. He's not the best player on the first line.
Whoa.
He's not the best player on the fourth line, but he can play on all four lines for this team. The empty net goals because he hustles, the energy that he brings, like you're kind of looking for that spark plug like Benson is when he plays on the top line. I think Benson's better at it. He's got a little bit more shiftiness and a little bit more moxie, but Krebs isn't afraid to fight either. And he is not going to score you 30 goals in a year. He's not. I don't think that's what they're asking him to do. But you can't tell me there are not 32 coaches in the NHL that wouldn't take a player like him on their roster, where you can put him on the top line on the road in New Jersey and have him get a goal and an assist, or put him on the fourth line and play him 11 minutes and he'll be effective down there. He is the perfect 6 out of 10 hockey player. And you don't need every player to be a 10 out of 10. Remember how many times I've said this team needs more Jason Zuckers. They have a Jason Zucker on this team, and he's a 20-goal scorer, and he can play up and down the lineup, and he scores on the power play, and he goes in front of the net. And I'm like, man, I want them to have more players like him. Well, every hockey team needs a player like Peyton Krebs. I can't lie and say that I always knew he was going to be this, but man, what a role he has carved out on this Sabres team to be effective on all four lines, whatever he's asked to do, whether that's setting up Tage Thompson to rip a goal or to play on the fourth line, penalty kill, and try to score an empty netter.
The third guy individually that I wanted to talk about is UPL.
Yep.
I was a little surprised. Thought maybe they go back to Alex Lyon after the break. I wasn't going to criticize it. That's kind of sort of where I was personally leaning. UPL hadn't played in a while. They throw him right back into the mix, and he didn't have to make a ton of unbelievable wow type saves, but he was rock steady. Only gave up one goal, and that one goal is everybody in this chat and everybody in the world has been that on Owen Power, and they're not wrong. Mm-hmm. The puck was just whacking away in front of there, and after he didn't get the puck, I will get to Owen in a second. But anyway, I'm not going to say UPL stood on his head like, say, Hellenbrook did for the Americans on Sunday, but it was a very solid game. And I'll say this, too. I think it's a confidence-boosting game for him and for Lindy Ruff, for sure.
First off, pitching the shutout for as long as he did, although, like you said, I don't think he had to make any 10-bell saves, but pitching the shutout as long as he did is part of the recipe for that perfect road game. The Sabres didn't score in the first, but he didn't give one up either. And that then affords you the opportunity to go score one in the second and then lock it down a little bit. And, he earned the win by not giving up an early goal or a soft goal when it was 0-0 or when it was 1-0. Sure. That's part of the recipe, is just don't give up a dumb one. The other part of it is New Jersey had a couple breakaways, including the shorthanded. And I know the puck flipped up on Hischier and he shot it over the net, but they didn't score on a breakaway either. And UPL maybe didn't even have to make a save, but ultimately he played it right. He didn't give up a goal on those breakaways. Hellebuck made stone cold saves on Celebrini and McDavid on breakaways. UPL didn't necessarily have to do that today, but New Jersey had some chances and didn't bury. And I thought, especially early on, I think shots were 12-6 in the first, and he turned them away. And you're 100% right, Pat. None of them were scoring chances. Were 7-3 New Jersey after the first. And I remember thinking, I didn't think New Jersey had 7 scoring chances, but even still, just holding the line, keeping it steady. You can't ask for any more from UPL today. He played a damn near perfect game. The goal that he gave up was not his fault. And when you go on the road, you play New Jersey, and you want to sneak out a 2-1 win after a 2-week layoff, perfect.
I had Chris Ostrander on the show on Tuesday, and where we arrived at was we could talk about so many scenarios and things with the Sabres, but ultimately at the end of the day, they're going to break this drought the goaltending has to hold up. It's been good enough. But can it hold up over the last 25 games? I think that's the number one question coming out of this break. Well, this is just one game in, 24 more to go. But this was a very positive sign because the goaltending definitely held up. Before we get to a break, and on the other side, we're going to get to a couple things about this game that we definitely didn't like. Is there anything else that, whether it's an individual or a line or something, that you liked what you saw here on Wednesday night, Buffalo's return?
I mean, I'm glad to have Josh Dunn back, too. I think he's a good player. I like him on the fourth line a lot. The size that he has, he makes good decisions. He stripped Jack Hughes of the puck in the first period. I don't know if anybody remembers that. Hughes had the puck at the blue line, and Josh Dunn just chipped it past him, got it off his stick, and got it out to the neutral zone. I think Josh Dunn makes his team better. I like that he's healthy and playing. Here's the other thing, Pat. I'm officially at the point now where I'm like counting points, because what is it going to take? Like 95? I don't know. But like 72 now. I am counting points like it's the race to 96 points or whatever we think it's going to be. I said, 500 hockey down this 25 game stretch gets it done. And I can't even lie. At one point, I'm like, even if New Jersey ties it, getting a point is exactly what they need, because 500 hockey is going to get them to 95 points. And I think that's right about where they're going to need to be. So for Steve, personally, I'm putting 2 notches in the windowsill. That's 2 points out of the 26 that I want them to get in this stretch. And if 500 hockey gets it done, you're 1-0 out of those 25 games. If 13-12 is going to be how it gets done, or 12-12-1 is how it gets done, they're 1-0. And that is where I got the little like chain like you make till Christmas, where you rip a loop off every day on the way to Christmas. I've got 2 links ripped off en route to the 26 points that I think they're going to need.
The one guy I wanted to point out, I thought Matthias Samuelsson had a really strong game. Physical, knocking guys around. You love to see it, man. That was missing. It's back. I like that a lot. And to your point about points, it's funny because I looked at the standings a couple points after. I'm like, well, where are they in the wild card race now? I'm like, well, they're not in the wild card race. As we're discussing here on the podcast, the Sabres are no longer a wild card team. They are back into third place for the moment in the Atlantic Division, tied with Montreal for second, actually, with 72 points, but they leap over Detroit because of regulation victories. Washington did win on Wednesday night, so the Sabres remain 5 clear of a playoff spot. But again, putting up points out, like you said, to your point, is huge, and the Sabres pulled off 2 of them. Real quick break on the video side, literally going to be back in about 5 seconds. We'll get to a couple things that we didn't like, and then we'll turn our attention towards the Buffalo Bills. Back with Steve Bermel. Scott says in the live, Devils did not deserve a point. Happy Sabres close it out. I agree. I don't think the Devils played a very good game at all. They don't deserve a point. Ben Clifford came out and took angles and rock solid talking about UPL. Let's go with Florida Friday. Cheers, boys. All right, so there's a lot to like. As everybody, again, I'm surely on social media, definitely here in the live chat, Owen Power. I'm going to say something. What's that meme where the guy's in a meeting and he's standing up and nobody agrees with what he's saying, and anyway, that's me right now. I actually thought for about 50 minutes, Owen Power played a pretty good game.
Yep. 100%.
Thought he moved the puck well. Mm-hmm. I thought he was physical a couple times.
Threw a hip check along the boards. He put the hips out there.
He took a bad penalty, though. I believe he took a bad penalty in the game. So there was that. And then again, he was brutal in the last 5 minutes. I mean, I was quiet the whole game, Steve. I was in control of my emotions. I really was. Like I said, yeah, when they went up 2-0, but I was in control. My wife walks in, and it was during the point when once they didn't get that puck out and they were stuck with the fourth line guys out there. I'm like, yeah, New Jersey's scoring. Power doesn't get the puck out. They throw it at the net, and he's just trying to tie someone's stick up, and of course they score. I don't know. Terrible shift, and my only tweet of the whole game besides Tage with an exclamation point. My only tweet the whole game was, "Goddamn, Power! That was a horrific shift." It really was a bad shift, and it could have cost the Sabres potentially a point. It didn't. You need to see more from him out of that, but I'm sorry, folks. All in all, I didn't think he played that bad.
No, he had a good game up to that point. Uh, the thing that frustrates me, and I've said this exact thing before, when you are on the crease, my friend Justin actually always said, you either got to take the body or take the puck. You can't take the stick because that's not going to work. You can't tie up a stick. You can't stand there and hope they're going to get. You either got to take the body or take the puck.
Yeah.
The frustrating part for me there, and this goes back to like even like Henrik Tallinder. I always felt like uh, take the penalty if you have to. You know how you said he had a bad penalty behind the net that he held the guy, which was dumb, and he knew he was in trouble. And even Dan Dunleavy alluded to was like, yeah, you got to be careful. They were going to give New Jersey a call, and you made it look, you kind of got caught red-handed wrapping him up. But if Owen Power in that situation, the guy's on the crease, cross-checks the fuck out of him, I mean, like obliterates him, and gets a 2-minute penalty, that's a better result than letting Timo Meier tap the puck in on a rebound. And I understand it's scrambly. I understand that it's going to be a 6-on-4, and they might score anyway. But you, at that point, it is quite literally better to put them in a sleeper hold or a full Nelson and rip them down to the ice and take a 2-minute holding penalty than be weak. There are people here talking about how weak he was on the crease. Your job, I know he's 6'5" and he's 230 pounds. I know he's never going to be a super physical player. It's not in his makeup. But there's times I need him to make a physical play. And in a situation like that where it's scrambly and you've got guys right in front of the blue paint whacking at the puck, chop them in half. Like, just do something. Trip them, grab them, throw them down. Because once again, a 2-minute penalty there, people might be pissed at him anyway, Pat. Oh, dumb penalty to take. It's not a dumb penalty to take when you save a goal. Like, that's almost the best opportunity to take when you're in football. If you take a pass interference penalty, that would have resulted in a walk-in touchdown, that's not a bad penalty to take. When even if it is 30 yards downfield, you kept 6 points off the board. If Power grabs Timo Meier by the neck and flips him over his body and gets a 2-minute holding penalty and a 2-minute roughing penalty, that's a better result than letting him tap in a rebound for a goal.
Agreed 100%. And a few people commenting on the show, I believe them. I think it's the correct take, is that Owen Power was bad in that moment for sure. But what was consistently bad the whole game were the Sabres' 3 power play opportunities. I mean, that shit was ugly, dude. I don't know what they're doing at the top of the blue line. I don't understand the philosophy. I don't know if they just got caught up in this game or what, they thought they saw something on tape that they could exploit with New Jersey's penalty kill. But New Jersey legitimately, 3 power plays. I think New Jersey legitimately came closer to scoring than the Sabres did on the Sabres power play. The puck movement was awful. The entries was awful. I can count on less than one hand amount of shots, certainly quality shots, that they were able to produce on Allen. That was an ugly power play. And actually, I lied. I said I only had 2 tweets during the game. I had 3. Because I said, I think maybe number one on my trade deadline wish, find someone who can be on this power play to get Jack Gwynn off power play 1. Gotta do something here. That power play was really, really bad. New Jersey's was bad too. Fortunately, they had a couple opportunities, but not as bad as the Sabres. They've been good. So I'm going to give them, I don't want to bury the power play. I think they're like in the middle of the pack. And I thought they were I think Rob Ray said they had maybe scored in like 6 or 8 games before the break on the power play. I don't know, but that power play looked like shit in this game, right?
That was one of my tweets. I said, I love the Buffalo Sabres, but this power play is abysmal because I can't find enough negative words for it. Norris had one good look on the near side faceoff circle on the one-timer. Allen comes over. There was no traffic. He swallowed it up. That was the best look. The puck kind of squirted to him, and he one-timed it. It wasn't a bad shot. Allen made the save. That's the only real opportunity on the power play that I can think of. The book is kind of out. The Sabres do a lot of the work along the blue line with Dahlin moving around, and teams are not afraid of the half wall or the goal line. They are very aggressive out to the blue line on the Sabres because I think it forces panic. And then they cycle the puck around the boards. Teams are like, they're not going to hurt us from there. They do not sit in a passive box and let the Sabres move the puck around the perimeter. They put pressure on the perimeter, and it works against Buffalo. Pat, don't know how to fix that. I'm not a hockey guy like that. I've never played, I've never coached. I don't know how to fix that. But even when they get in the zone, it feels like they're fighting just to get a look at the net because everything's at the blue line with a ton of pressure. Zone entries are awful. They can't get into the zone cleanly and get set up. The drop passes, I don't understand a lot of times what the point is of those. You have 4 guys standing still at the blue line and 1 guy with speed bringing it in, and 1 out of every 3 times it seems to work just to get entry to the zone. I don't even mean to get set up. I think they need a philosophy change. I don't even know if it's necessarily a personnel change as much as they have to change their approach to zone entries and then to also beat that pressure up at the blue line. You said you're not willing to bury the power play. Pat, my number one concern in this playoff push, and if they make the playoffs, is this power play because you have to be effective scoring on the power play to make a playoff run and to make a run in the playoffs. And right now, I don't care if they scored in the 6 games leading up. It's not good enough.
Agreed. I agree with you. If I would say that again, I think that's maybe their number one priority. Which, speaking of which, all right. So to put a bow on this game, Sabres win 2-1. They are tied for second now in the division. They're still, great pace right now to make the playoffs. They have, well, let's see. Most people will be listening to this on Thursday. So 8 days before the trade deadline, 4 games before the trade deadline. It's going to be a very interesting 7 to 8 days here with what goes on with Buffalo. We don't need to talk about Alex Tuch anymore. I feel like we do this with every show. Alex Tuch's not going nowhere. If he doesn't sign an extension, which is highly unlikely, they're going to play it out with him, and we'll see where they stand. So let's stop talking about Alex Tuch. He's not going anywhere. What this team does before the deadline can be really interesting. A defenseman, I'd like to see.
Need one.
Sure.
Can't be Bryson and Metza.
Yep. And to your point, what you just talked about, go get a guy, a rental, whoever, maybe not a rental, maybe a hockey trade, whatever. But this power play needs an injection too. Again, I wasn't being sarcastic. I don't think Jack Quinn should be on the first power play. They got to get some power play help. So I could see 2 moves. I don't think they're going to move heaven on earth. I don't think they're going to have a huge move. I think the Sabres are going to treat Alex Tuch like their big move by not trading him. You know what I mean? And keeping him as a quote-unquote rental. But you want to see something from Jarmo, right, between now and Friday, March 6th at 3 p.m.?
Yeah, he knows that. I mean, I trust that he's not going to go into the playoff run with this roster exactly the way it is. Tyler Myers, man, there's rumors he's got a full...
He didn't play tonight.
He has a full no-movement clause. He cannot be traded to any team without permission. That drops to a modified 12-team. I don't know if it's 12 teams that he restricts or 12 teams that he could choose this offseason, but if they're not playing him for trade reasons, he clearly has agreed to waive his no-trade clause to go somewhere. Do him and Lindy have good history that he wants to come back? I don't know. It's fun to think about, right? But then, of course, everybody would accuse the Sabres of being like the Bills, bringing back old players. People, I think, soon forget that Myers was the last Calder Trophy winner that Buffalo had. He was great his rookie year.
Old player, but can he still help? I mean, would he be... Would the addition of Tyler Myers be an upgrade on that third line?
Yes.
Well,
over Bryson and Metza, 100%. Playoff experience, the veteran, the size. I know he doesn't play physical and big, but he's got special teams experience. Pat, if you mean to tell me if they roll into the playoffs round 1, who do you want back there, Jacob Bryson or Tyler Myers? It's no question.
I mean,
no question.
I thought you were being rhetorical.
Nope, no question. Same thing with Tyler Myers or Zach Metza. And I'm not dogging on Metza or Bryson, but that's who one of those guys is playing every night right now. Pat Timmins is not healthy yet. You have Bryson or Metza playing every single night. That's a problem. And they're not bad players. Metza's a fine player. This team has to get fucking serious about a playoff run and about making a run in the playoffs, which means it's not Bryson and Metza. And I'm not hating on those guys at all. They are fine 7th or 8th defensemen, but you're in a position right now where they're playing every night. And oh, by the way, if someone else gets dinged up, they're both playing every night, Bryson and Metza. And that's why I think a player like Tyler Myers, just what the doctor, I don't mean him specifically, but that's just what the doctor ordered.
Agreed. All right, so you're likely going to be on again before the trade deadline. It'll be a big hockey week next week, but you predict multiple trades? It's predicting the trade's too easy. They're going to make a trade.
Over under is 1.5. I take the over. I think it's going to be 2.
Okay.
I think it'll be a small one that might not even affect the NHL roster, and then a depth move that will affect the NHL roster.
You know, I'm looking right now as we're getting ready to move on, but Chad DiDomenicis just put out a tweet a couple minutes ago or a short time ago since his show started about Owen Power, and I agree with this. In fact, I said it about 15 minutes ago on this show. He said, it's funny, Power makes one bad play after being excellent for 30 games, and I have the haters in my replies ready to go. I respect the dedication. Yeah, again, he had a shitty shift and a bad moment with the penalty, but all in all, I thought he was pretty good. Let me get to a quick couple comments here, and then we'll talk some Bills to close out the show. But fun fact, I didn't know this. Ralph Wilson Sr., one of the veterans of this live chat, always chiming in. I love it. He said, Mike Ramsey was the youngest on the U.S. team at 18 years old, and Herb Brooks had him close out the last minute 20 against Russia. I actually never knew that. That's pretty cool, man. Mike Ramsey is one of my favorite Sabres of all time, by the way. Used to love Mike Ramsey. What's the other one I had? Chip happened. Chip happened. I like that. Tonawanda kid, now living in South Florida, seeing Matthew Tkachuk at the Elbow Room today, having the gold medal guys on the beach partying. South Florida hockey is a long way from my days at Brighton Rink. Brighton has a rink? I thought Brighton Park only had golf course.
They have the new paddock rink now that they just built. It's brand new.
All right.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I was kind of fixated on these comments.
Yeah.
The last ex-Sabre play in the league to see a Sabres playoff game, bring him back. He was talking about Tyler Myers, actually. Yeah, I get it. All right. Well, again, a big victory. It's always good to come back from the break and get 2 points. Because I'm going to tell you, right now, going into the break, it didn't kind of maybe necessarily feel like it, but the Sabres had lost, 3 of their last 4 going into the break. So, you know, to come back, if you lose this game in regulation especially, you start to worry. You're like, oh, they've only won 1 of their last 5.
They have 3-game losing streak.
Yeah, are they going to fall apart? And then you got, a desperate Florida team they're going to be playing on Friday, and Tampa, who's playing as good as anybody right now on Saturday, and you got Vegas next week. So, yeah, this was a big W, man. I'm really
500 hockey. Play 500 hockey.
500 hockey. I will still say this. Last Sabres point. Can't help myself. You know what? Screw it. We don't talk Sabres enough, so I'm enjoying this episode a lot, by the way. Listen, I want the Sabres, of course, the Sabres to get to the playoffs. And if they get to the playoffs, they're capable of winning. They're capable of beating a team in a series. Who knows how far they can get? But, and I know this sounds like taboo to say right now because they're playing so well, but if the Sabres got to the playoffs and got swept in the first round, I'd still say, if you ask me, Pat, is the season a success? I'd be like, fucking hell yeah, it was a success. Even if they get dog walked by whoever, Detroit, Montreal, I don't give a shit who it is. Whoever in the playoffs in the first round, even if they got dog walked, I'd still say that was a very, very successful season.
They were in last place in the whole league in December.
Yeah, come on, man. Unbelievable. The old Brighton rink was an outdoor rink with the roof. All right. Okay. Switch gears here. Talk some Bills. NFL Combine going on this week. Brandon Beane, Joe Brady spoke the other day. To me, it was kind of much ado about nothing, but I wasn't really expecting much. One story that the media's kind of run with a little bit was Brandon Beane not suggesting that he would, but not ruling out Teron Johnson moving to safety. I bring this up because I've heard this talk before. There's been talk in the past about, hey, maybe Teron Johnson's future is at safety. So much is up in the air right now, Steve, with this Bills defense because unlike the last 6-7 years, we have no idea what it's going to look like come September right now. It could look radically different in scheme, radically different with personnel. We don't know. So he said everything's on the table or nothing's off the table. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but I didn't think much of the comment. I thought that was much of him just saying, hey, never say never. However, I do wonder if it's a possibility. Is that something you think about? I don't think he had a very good year at nickel last year. I don't know if he has the range. I don't know if he's a fit for safety alongside Cole Bishop, though, because of the way he plays, but maybe he is. I don't know, man. Do you have any thoughts on that? Potentially, Taron Johnson moving to safety?
This is the first I've heard of this idea. And so you're getting a genuine reaction. You're paying him a lot of money.
Yeah.
You're no longer going to be in a base nickel defense. We know that we hear the 3-4 hybrid. We don't know what that means. Are they going to run 4-3? Are they going to run 3-3-5? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to be the hybridization? Are you going to go 3 linemen, 3 backers, 5 DBs in nickel situations? I don't know. So where does Taron Johnson fit in? It's safe to say the slot corner is not going to be as big of a position as it has been in the Sean McDermott defense. It's definitely safe to say that he lost a step. The last time I was on the show, we talked about what are they going to do at safety across from Cole Bishop, because we think they're going to cut Taylor Rapp. They probably aren't going to sign DeMar Hamlin. Is it going to be Hancock? Are they going to bring Poyer back? Maybe Taron Johnson is the answer. I have no idea what it would look like to have him play safety, but what's the alternative? He's not going to play outside corner. We know that. He's going to be, I mean, he got a pretty good deal, right? And I remember he's not a cut candidate at all. They're not going to save any money unless it's after June 1st, is it?
Teron, yeah. They'll take a lot of money, but it would be a post-June 1st designation, like $9.5 million.
And it comes back to haunt him, right?
Yeah, in 2027. Yeah. Because of the way they restructured his contract before the trade deadline, thinking they might make a trade, they pushed back dead money. It would be not so much this year, but next year they'd have to eat like $7 or $8 million next year.
Yeah.
To cut him after June 1st. Yeah.
So it feels like you're paying him what you are. Cutting him isn't super wise with the paying the piper down the road. I think you have to find somewhere for him. And like I said, maybe they're going to run 3-3-5. Maybe their passing defense is 3-3-5 instead of 4-3 nickel, right? Or instead of a big dime, it's going to be 3-2-6, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, if they bring extra DBs in. But I feel like you're not going to have a guy like him making what he is, playing 30% of the snaps. Why? That's a waste of money. Like, you're paying him to be an every down defensive back, so maybe safety is the option. I don't know. I don't even know where he played in college, Pat. I don't know if he was a corner or safety or what coming out of college. So I'm not the best to ask about it.
Never played safety, to my knowledge, but I don't quote me on that. I could be wrong, but to my knowledge, he hasn't. Well, I think this. I think nickel is going to be important on the Bills' defense. Nickelback's important on every defense. They won't play it as much. Like Sean McDermott's base defense was essentially a nickel defense.
Yep.
That will not be Jim Leonard's base defense, but they'll still play plenty of nickel. 35, 40, 45%, somewhere around that, depending on how the game goes. I just wonder if he has anything left. That's what it comes down to for me. And again, I don't know. This is me guessing. I'm just being honest here. I'm not trying to say that, well, sources tell me he might this or that. I have no idea if he could play safety. I have no idea if they're seriously considering moving him at safety. I don't like the idea, though. I'll tell you that.
Isn't that what always people say, though? Like, whenever a corner loses a half a step, he can play safety. We're talking about it with Trey White.
Troy Vincent was a corner who successfully went to safety. Aaron Williams was a cornerback who stunk at cornerback early in his career for the Bills. Then he became a safety, and he started playing a lot better. Unfortunately, he got his career cut short because of a cheap shot by fucking Jarvis Landry. Yep. But anyway, there's precedent for it. It doesn't happen a lot. And I would rule, just like Brandon Bean said, I wouldn't rule it out. Here's what I think they're going to do with Teron. I think they're going to sit still. It makes no benefit to cut him now when you can't see the money to June 1st anyway. So why not go through the free agency cycle, see what you land, see what the draft brings you. Maybe May 1st is usually a second wave. Like after the draft, free agents who, have been sitting out there, teams get to a point where they're like, oh, we're not going to sign you. We want to see what happens with the draft. Then we'll come back to you. Those guys start to sign. And then Shaq Thompson was a late signing last year for the Bills, which really worked out for them. But anyway, I think it's going to be something that might linger to the summer. And they see what he has, what he looks like, and what they have on this roster. I'd say it's 65% he's here on this roster next year. But I wouldn't bet on it. I don't know. I really don't have a strong opinion right now on it one way or the other. I guess nothing would surprise me. And this defense, Steve, there's guys like the guys on this defense, I think, that are certain to be back next year and start and be factors. I come up with 6, okay? Groot, Deion Walker, Ed Oliver, although people like to throw Ed Oliver in some trade rumors. Again, I think...
What are the dead cap repercussions of that, though? People think they're playing a fucking video game. Like, you can't just trade someone and not accrue. Remember how much dead cap they had to eat when they traded Marcel Darius? It was nuts.
Or Stephon Diggs. They had a lot of dead cap to get rid of Diggs because they wanted him gone so bad. I don't think that's happening. So,
agreed.
Just saying it. But so Groot, Walker, Ed Oliver up front. Benford, Hairston. I'm going to give Hairston the starting nod. And Cole Bishop. So you're talking 6 guys on a defense that starts 11.
Did you say Terrell Bernard? Sorry.
I was just about to. Terrell Bernard or Dorian Williams. I don't think... See, I'm holding a Sharpie in my hand right now.
Yeah.
I don't think Terrell Bernard on the depth chart being a starter is written in Sharpie. Maybe if Sean McDermott was the coach, yes. Jim Leonard, no. Brandon Beane's not going to go up to Jim Leonard. I certainly wouldn't hope so anyway. He's not going to say, you know what? I gave this guy a big contract last offseason. He was hurt a lot this season. He's my starter. He's your starter on this defense.
Even with 2 inside backers.
Yeah, I think he will be. I'm just saying that I'm not going to put him in Sharpie.
Okay.
I would expect him to start. I'm just saying that if whatever reason, and again, going back to the dead cap stuff, can he get traded? Who knows? Maybe he's a better fit in another kind of defense, and he could get moved and something valuable you can get in return. I don't think he's a great 3-4 inside linebacker fit. I think he will be expected to start, but I'm not going to bet the house. And again, I'm not going to use this Sharpie that's out of black marker, by the way. I just noticed as I was trying to scribble. I don't know that he's going to start 100%. Him or Dorian Williams, I'll say, though. You take the Sharpie, put one of those 2 guys and one of those 2 inside linebacker starts. So that's like 7 between them 2. Toronto, I just can't get there with 8. Yeah. I think you're looking at a minimum of 3 to more than likely 4 new starters on this defense for sure. A free safety, 2 linebackers at least, maybe even 3 linebackers, and a lot of depth on the defensive line. It's just going to look so different.
I got to push back. I think Bernard has to start because unless you re-sign Shaq Thompson, then it gets a little bit more convoluted. But who do you have at inside backer that's a better option? Like Dorian Williams, maybe, but is he a better option than Bernard? Depends on what role. I thought Dorian Williams is going to be more of the downhill, see ball, get ball guy, which is more the outside linebackers in a 34. I don't know. And the other thing that I want to say, and I know you didn't bring this up, Pat, and I think I said this the last time I was on. People are talking about all the positions of need. Like, you're telling me they might need 4 new starters on defense. They also are going to need offensive linemen. We want them to get wide receiver help. Sure. We need them to get all. They only have 7 picks. And the idea, I think there's people, and this is going to sound really accusational, there's people that want them to trade 2 firsts and a third for Justin Jefferson and still fill all the holes that's not how it works. Like, I think they're keeping all 7 picks. They have to. If they need the cheap labor, I hear you on the podcast say, I think there's cheaper labor out there. They are not in a spot where they can afford to not have cheap labor in starting positions. How do you get cheap labor in starting positions? You draft. Maybe you find a free agent off the scrap heap who's 34 years old and trying to get one last kick at the can or something. But I truly think they're going to keep all 7 picks because I think they have to out of necessity. And I hear, I listen to a ton of podcasts. Of course, I listen to yours every day. But I hear they need to draft a receiver. They need to draft a guard. They need to draft a defensive lineman, edge rusher, both. An outside linebacker, a safety. That's 5 picks right there. What are you like? I want them to trade back and get more picks, but they are not going to be able to make 2 or 3 trades where they trade picks for assets and restock the shelves for what they need. 4 defensive starters, 3 offensive starters, a guard, a center, and a wide receiver maybe. You don't have enough capital for that.
I'm going to push back on you, push it back on me.
Do it. I'm here for it.
Push it back on each other. You make a good point about Terrell Bernard. And again, the fact that he was a captain last year, his contract is not going anywhere. I agree that he's back. By the way, John Sanders, I'm assuming John was talking about Tehran because that's what we asked about. $9.2 million in dead cap if traded post June 1st, 21 million before. Probably not happen. I'm pretty sure he was talking about Teron Johnson there. Correct me if I'm wrong, live chat. But anyway, sure. I'm still not going to put him in Sharpie, though. I'll use a pen, but I'm not going to use a permanent Sharpie marker. But if I say, well, I'll push back with you is I do think they're going to trade a pick. I do think they're going to trade for a wide receiver. I don't know what pick. Second round, a third round. Oh, that was for Ed Oliver, by the way, those numbers. Yep. Sorry, so Ed Oliver is not getting traded. 9.2 dead cap if traded post June 1st. Well, that's actually doable. 21 million if not. So, why do you want to trade Ed Oliver anyway? Stop the nonsense, Bills Mafia. I lost my train of thought. Oh, wide receiver. I think they're going to trade for a wide receiver. Actually, I think they go into the draft and they say, especially if they don't sign a Mike Evans or Romeo Dobbs, which I hope they don't do, or Rashid Shaheed, which people killed me for suggesting they were going to last week on my show. Holy shit, that was a bloodbath for me. You draft a wide receiver in the first round, but if you can't get one, then you trade for one, like a DJ Moore. You give up, I don't know, I bet you a third and something else gets it done. They probably want to get out of his contract. They got Roma Dunze. They took the Loveland, the tight end in the first round. They got a lot of weapons. I think DJ Moore could definitely be had. So, Ed Oliver's horse is killing him. These comments sometimes I can't help myself. People are listening like, what the hell are you laughing at, man? Anyway, sure. I don't know. It's so unpredictable. That's the fun part of this. I love this time. So many people like Joe from Queens bitches about it like a little baby all the time about the combine and all this boring ass shit. To me, this is the championship weeks, buddy. These are the championship months. These decisions that Brandon Beane and his staff are making right now is going to win you a Super Bowl, or it's going to have you throwing a ball when you need Brandon Cooks to make a catch to get to the AFC Championship game. Hashtag you're not in the AFC Championship game. These are the decisions that you make right now.
Dude, I still play Madden. I'm almost 40, and I play Madden. The only games I actually play are in the playoffs. I simulate the season, but week to week I manage the roster, and the off seasons where I have the most fun. Like drafting, trying to find free agents that I can get cheap, like offer them a contract less than when they don't have any offers, and like try to build the team. I have more fun. So I'm with you. I know Joe hates he calls it the stupid stuff and like who's going to be the 5th round pick. I'm not a huge college football guy to like know what prospects are being drafted, but the construction of the roster in the offseason is legitimately fun to me. So I'm with you. This time of year, like trade deadline day in the NHL is like Christmas morning for me. I love, especially when there's a lot of trades that happen. It's harder now with all the no move clauses, but similarly, off-season moves are the second most fun part of the season to like the playoffs to me. So I'm with you as far as where they're going to draft and what free agents they're going to find and any trades they make.
I got a Brandon Cooks question that I'm going to ask you to end the show with, but real quick before that, because I was talking about the defense and the changes that were coming. One of the low-key things about this team right now that I never realized until like over the last 24 hours or so when I was really looking at this roster and what they may do at certain positions and, talking about got to get a better pass rush and you got to have this, you got to have that, you need a wide receiver, blah, 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 blah. The depth in this secondary is non-existent.
Yeah, what depth?
They have, so they got Christian Bedford, and again, I think Max Searson's going to be your starter. I do not think Trey White's going to be back. Not because the Bills don't want Trey White, because I think Trey White's just going to have opportunities to start and make more money on another team. He'd be stupid to not go start and make more money on another team. So I don't think he's going to be back. So you got Benford, you got Hairston, and without Trey, you got nobody. Like, nobody.
No one.
Dane Jackson's on the roster. He's going to get cut. He ain't going to be back.
What's Darius Slay up to?
He's not going to play here. Jorian Strong, I mean, it's a sad story. Maybe he comes back, but probably not, which sucks because he was very promising. Jamarcus Ingram's gone. You waived him. There's no
Dane
cornerback
Jackson
depth.
Out.
Yeah, there's no cornerback depth on this team whatsoever. They're going to have to go, and Cam Lewis I'll consider a slot guy if you want to be technical, just like Teron Johnson's technically a corner. I'm talking about boundary corners. No depth. They're going to have to use you might have to use. You're talking about they only got 7 picks and all these guys. You forgot to add, well, maybe they need to get a good boundary corner in the draft too, so you can have some depth there. So you can add that to the list of 10 million things you need with 7 draft picks. There's no depth at corner. And then the safety depth, you got Cole Bishop. You don't even have another starter. And the only other safety on this roster who's not a free agent is Jordan Hancock. I mean, you got Taylor Rapp. I think he's going to get cut. $3.3 million to save. I do not think DeMar Hamlin is going to be back. There's this secondary is going to be very, very thin.
I think it's okay for them to use free agency for the corners more so.
Sure.
Like, I know you're talking about using a pick, but if they do, it's going to be day 3. And, like, are we using a 6th or 7th round pick on a boundary corner, or are we getting the 33-year-old free agent that, once again, wants another kick at the can for a vet min? Because, in theory, you hope they're not playing a lot. You hope Enford and Harrison are healthy, and whomever you have at that position isn't going to have to play. And better to have a free agent who you're paying $900K to than a 6th round pick that maybe could be, even at the safety spot. I think it's worth drafting someone because you need a safety to play, to be a starter. Same thing with left guard and or center, depending on what happens, unless they're going Alec Anderson and Vandermark. I don't know. But I think that boundary corner is a great candidate to find. I hate to say, like, it sounds like I'm talking shit, but like scrap heap free agents, right?
Sure. Last question for you. I'm going to preface this by saying tomorrow's show, I spend a chunk of the episode discussing Brandon Cooks. I have very strong opinions. I shared some of them on Twitter.
Showed my wife. We agreed.
Yeah. So I'm going to save my opinions for tomorrow. There's a lot of people who've pushed back. And it's no secret. I don't think the Bills should re-sign Brandon Cooks. I will explain in depth, laying out many reasons why on the show tomorrow, among other Bills topics. But I want your opinion, and I will say I got a lot of pushback that, hey, cheap, couple million at most. If he's back as wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, people are fine with it. Depth chart guy. You could do worse on your depth chart than Brandon Cooks. I agree with that. What's your opinion? Where the Bills, you think they stand with Brandon Cooks based on what you saw last year, based on what you might see in 2026? Are you a fan of bringing him back? I want your opinion.
I don't want him back. I will point people to find that video that you posted on social media because you had a stat in there on how many receptions he had versus targets. I won't spoil it because that's your thunder. People go find Pat's social media because that's his thunder, and that is like a nail in the coffin to me. It's just he's not good enough. I don't need him. And last week I mentioned Josh Palmer, and I said I hope Palmer can fill that role. And I don't know if you saw, Pat, I was commenting back to people on the Facebook clip. People were like, Palmer wasn't good. Palmer stinks. Palmer's not any better than Brandon Cooks. That's not what I'm saying. He's here anyway. You're not cutting Josh Palmer. You have no way to do it. It's going to cost you money to cut him. If he's going to be here anyway, I hope he can play that downfield receiver role in the same or better capacity than Brandon Cooks did. I am not saying he is better than Brandon Cooks, that he played better than Brandon Cooks last year. I'm saying I fucking hope he is. He's making $15 million or whatever they're paying him, and they can't cut him. So I hope Josh Palmer can fill that role better than or the same as Brandon Cooks did, hopefully better than. And that's why I don't think they need Brandon Cooks. I think part of the reason Brandon Cooks was brought in was the Palmer injury, because after he got banged up in that Atlanta game, seemed like he was never going to be the same again. So the number of people that were coming at me saying Palmer wasn't good, that's not what I said. I'm not saying he's good. I'm saying for what you're paying him, and he's on the roster anyway, I hope he is, because you are paying him either way.
I heard from a trustworthy birdie that Brandon Cooks being signed by the Bills after he got waived by New Orleans was more a Brandon Beane, how do I say this the right way? Elijah Moore was not very high on the Beane list. And they got rid of Elijah Moore when they signed Cooks. And Apparently, Sean McDermott wasn't a big fan of that. Here's what I'll say. Gabe Davis, completely different type of player. But if there's a criticism of Gabe Davis, it was always Josh's worst metrics, even though he had big plays, his worst metrics were throwing to Gabe Davis, like the lowest completion percentage, like targets to receptions. Well, Brandon Cooks is the different type. He's fast, he's speedy, he's shifty, he's a separator. He gets open. I will spoil it. 10 catches Brandon Cooks had on 22 targets for the Bills, including the playoffs. And I put a clip on. Go to my Twitter, at Patrick Moran TV, if you want to see this clip. Maybe I'll share it on the show tomorrow on the video side. But I made a little montage because I went back and I watched every target for Brandon Cooks on film, on the All-22 on Wednesday morning. And 5 of those were literally in his hands. Literally. Actually, 4 were in his hands. 1 he flat out dropped. 1 he bobbled near the sideline and got pushed out. It was no catch. The Jacksonville play in the playoff game, he went to the ground with the ball, didn't complete the catch. Of course, the Denver interception. And then 1 in New England where he timed his jump so terribly that the ball went behind him. It should have never happened. And there was also 1 or 2 plays where he was open and the ball didn't seem like it was there, and I'm not sure that he ran the right route. Anyway, I just kind of gave away the fact that I am very much adamantly against bringing Brandon Cooks back because I think that it's a roster spot that someone else should have. If you're wide receiver 4 in the NFL, you can be wide receiver 1 on any given play. If the quarterback throws you the football on that play, you're a wide receiver 1. Doesn't matter what you are in the depth chart. You're out there, you're on the field, you're open, you're getting the ball thrown at you, you got to make the play. I don't trust them to make the play. So that's where I'm at. Anyway, all right, let's put a pin on this. Did I not lie to you yet again? Did I not tell you before the show? I showed you before the show. Oh, I should show you the text. I like, ideally 40 minutes or so. Well, here we are at about an hour and 5. That's okay, though, because this was fun. We had a lot of good conversation. The Sabres are back. I'm so happy the Sabres are back. I really am. I'm excited about the Sabres. Friday I won't be able to watch the game because of a commitment, but, I'm already looking forward to Saturday night to playing Tampa. I'm already looking forward to that game. I am scheduling shit as much as I can now around the Sabres because they're fun and they're exciting. And like I said, I don't know if I'm going to like it or not, but the Bills offseason is certainly getting ready to start heating up. So it's a fun time to be a Buffalo sports fan. Appreciate you as always, dude. Make sure you follow Steve on the Twitter app at Steve Bermel. I'll put a link to all that shit in the show notes too as well. Appreciate you as always, buddy.
Yeah, this was fun. Good win by the Sabres. Great conversation with you, Pat.
All right, as always, Steve, thank you. Thank you, everybody who's watching, again, on the video side, everybody who's listening or watching on demand. Appreciate you guys very much. One more show for the week coming at you tomorrow. Peace out, guys.